Some women don't fit into the mold, and they never wanted to. They move through life on their own terms, guided by instinct, grounded in truth, unshaken by noise, unmoved by approval. These women aren't here to follow, they're here to lead in silence. They don't need to be understood to know their value. They don't seek attention to prove their power. They speak less, observe more, and walk paths that most never even see. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. If the world has ever made you feel too much or not enough, maybe it's because you're neither. Maybe you're something rarer, something stronger. You're not alone. You're just uncommon. Welcome to the Sigma Sisterhood. Subscribe now and join a space where independence is honored, authenticity is power, and you never have to shrink to be accepted. 1. Sigma females are too real for most people. In a world driven by filters, performances, and polite pretenses, authenticity can feel like a thunderclap. Enter the Sigma female, the kind of woman who shows up exactly as she is. No polishing, no pretending, and no need to play a role just to be accepted. Her presence alone disrupts the status quo, not by force but by sheer honesty. And that's why most people don't know what to do with her. She doesn't speak in sugar-coated phrases or agree just to avoid friction. Instead, she communicates with clarity and conviction. She's not trying to be rude. She's just not willing to dilute the truth for the sake of social comfort. To those used to shallow conversations and surface-level friendships, her honesty can feel like a spotlight exposing all the cracks they've been hiding. But for those craving depth, her presence is magnetic. The Sigma female doesn't wear masks. While others morph to fit in, she remains firmly rooted in who she is. This kind of realness makes her a walking contradiction in a society built on facades. People expect a version of you that's easy to understand, easy to label. She refuses to give them that. It's not that she's difficult. It's that most people are not used to being around someone who won't shrink, won't flatter, and won't fake it for approval. Her energy demands honesty, and that's uncomfortable for those still hiding behind personas. What sets her apart is the way she makes others feel seen, not with flattery, but with presence. She notices what others overlook. She listens, not just to respond, but to understand. She challenges without attacking. She mirrors without judgment. And that kind of clarity makes people either deeply drawn to her or completely unsettled by her. But she's not here to be palatable. She's here to be real. She's not changing to fit the room. She changes the energy of the room just by being in it. If you've ever been told you're too intense or too honest, maybe you're not too much. Maybe you're just exactly enough, for the right people. 2. Sigma females have an unfiltered mind. In a world where people tiptoe around the truth, a Sigma female walks straight through it. She doesn't wrap her words in pretty packaging or serve opinions with a side of fluff. What she says is what she means, and for many that's hard to handle. But for her, filtering thoughts to please others feels unnatural. Why hide honesty behind pleasantries when clarity is what truly helps people grow? Her mind works with razor-sharp awareness. She sees through facades, dodges manipulation, and spots inconsistencies without even trying. When something feels off, she doesn't ignore it, she names it. When someone's lying to themselves or others, she won't silently enable it. And while that directness can feel jarring to those used to polite half-truths, it's never meant to harm. It's meant to reveal. The Sigma female's unfiltered communication isn't about being harsh. It's about being real. She'd rather risk being misunderstood than betray her own voice. Her goal isn't to win arguments or prove points, it's to speak from a place of grounded truth. She doesn't raise her voice to be heard. She chooses her words carefully, letting their precision do the work. This kind of presence makes her both respected and feared. Respected by those who value accountability. Feared by those who build their identity around illusions. She challenges people without trying to. Simply by refusing to lie, especially to herself. She becomes a mirror many aren't ready to face. Of course, this means she's often labeled as too blunt or too intense. But here's the truth. Her mind isn't a weapon. It's a tool. One that cuts through noise and gets to the core of things faster than most are willing to go. And in a world overloaded with shallow affirmations and performative empathy, that kind of mental clarity is rare. The Sigma female doesn't believe in sugarcoating life. She knows that real growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from truth. And while her words may sting at times, they always come from a place of integrity. Those who can handle her honesty will thrive in her presence. Those who can't will label her as too much. But make no mistake, her unfiltered mind isn't a flaw. It's a superpower. 3. They are unpredictable and hard to read. A Sigma female doesn't follow a script. She doesn't move according to anyone's expectations, and she certainly doesn't wear her emotions on demand. One day, she's deep in thought, observing everything in silence. The next, she's commanding a room with sharp insight and unwavering confidence. That duality? It keeps people guessing, and for many, it's deeply unsettling. Most people crave predictability. They want to know what to expect, how to respond, and where they stand. But a Sigma female defies categorization. She's not easily boxed into titles like introvert or extrovert, quiet or loud. She adapts to what the moment calls for, flowing between energies with grace and mystery. You can't pin her down because she doesn't operate from a fixed identity. She operates from self-awareness. This unpredictability isn't chaos, it's freedom. It's the result of someone who refuses to be reduced to a label or role. She's complex by nature, and she's not going to apologize for it. That's why surface-level thinkers find her confusing. They want neat answers. She offers layered truth. Even in silence, she's watching, listening, noticing the energy in the room, the micro-expressions on people's faces, the mood shifts others miss. Then when she speaks, it's with such precision and timing that it shifts the entire conversation. People aren't used to someone who doesn't seek attention, but still owns it when it matters. That's part of the Sigma paradox. She doesn't want the spotlight, but when it finds her, she doesn't shrink. For those who thrive on predictability, being around her feels like walking into uncharted territory. But for those who value depth, intelligence, and authenticity, her complexity is a breath of fresh air. She's not unreadable because she's hiding. She's unreadable because most people never learned how to look beyond the surface. 4. They are reluctant to commit to anything that feels limiting. For the Sigma female, freedom isn't a preference, it's a core value. While the world clings to routine, attachments, and comfort zones, she craves something else. Expansion. She'll walk away from anything that starts to feel like a cage, no matter how pretty it looks on the outside. It's not about fear of commitment. It's about refusing to settle into roles, jobs, or relationships that demand her to shrink. She doesn't stay just because it's familiar. She stays when it feels aligned, when it feeds her growth rather than stunts it. People often mistake this mindset for instability or emotional detachment, but that's a shallow take. In reality, the Sigma female is deeply loyal to purpose, to progress, to truth. She simply doesn't confuse longevity with value. A job can pay well, but if it drains her soul, she's gone. A relationship might look good on paper, but if it starts to control her or dull her spark, she'll walk quietly and without regret. That's what throws people off. There's no drama in her departure, no need for grand explanations. When she leaves, it's because she already made peace with the cost of staying. The Sigma female sees commitment differently. To her, it's not about obligation, it's about choice. She'll give her time, energy, and love fully, but only to what allows her to remain whole. If something demands that she sacrifice her freedom, authenticity, or self-respect, it's not worth keeping, no matter how long she's been in it. And that terrifies people who equate love with possession or loyalty with self-abandonment. They expect her to stay out of guilt or social pressure. But she doesn't play by those rules. She won't chase what confines her. She'll always choose herself first, not out of selfishness but out of self-awareness. So yes, she's hard to hold on to, But that's because she refuses to be held down, and anyone who truly understands her will never try to clip her wings. They'll walk beside her, not ahead or behind, because with her, commitment only works one way, side by side, never in chains. 5. They see relationships as partnerships, not dependencies. A Sigma female doesn't enter a relationship looking to be completed. She's not waiting for someone to rescue her, fix her, or validate her existence. She walks in already whole, already aware of who she is and what she brings to the table. And that changes everything. To her, love isn't about emotional crutches or constant reassurance. It's about connection, not dependence. It's about two complete individuals choosing to build something together, not because they need to, but because they want to. That distinction is subtle to some, but for a Sigma, it's non-negotiable. She's not interested in power plays, emotional games, or codependence masked as romance. She seeks clarity, equality, depth. If a connection isn't built on mutual growth and respect, she'll disengage quickly. She doesn't stay to fix broken people or to heal old wounds that aren't hers to carry. She'll support, yes, but she won't carry someone else's weight while abandoning her own. This mindset can confuse partners who are used to traditional dynamics, where one person sacrifices and the other expects. She won't play that role. She's not here to be someone's emotional sponge or security blanket. And she certainly won't water herself down to make someone else feel taller. Her independence is often misunderstood. People mistake her self-sufficiency for coldness. But the truth is, she feels deeply. She just doesn't let her emotions override her standards. She'll love with intensity and loyalty, but never at the cost of her own identity. The Sigma female respects a partner who stands strong on their own, who doesn't crumble under pressure or require constant validation to function. She wants someone who inspires her, challenges her, and stands beside her, not behind her, and never in control of her. And if that kind of balance doesn't exist, she's out. No drama, no second guessing. She doesn't cling to what isn't aligned. She knows her peace is more valuable than forced compatibility. She's not afraid of being alone. She thrives in it. So unless the connection feels like true partnership, she won't entertain it for long. Love for her is a meeting of minds and souls, not a contract of convenience. And those who understand that, they unlock a love that's rare, powerful, and real. 6. They refuse to engage in socially expected rituals. Sigma females don't move to the beat of the social drum. They don't show up just because it's expected. They don't smile just to keep the peace, and they certainly don't fake interest for the sake of appearances. In a world full of people going through the motions, the Sigma female steps back, evaluates the meaning behind the ritual, and often decides it's not worth her energy. She values authenticity over performance. She doesn't attend parties out of obligation. She doesn't make small talk that drains her soul. She doesn't pretend to enjoy conversations that lead nowhere just to avoid seeming rude. In her world, presence should be intentional, not transactional. This refusal to conform can rattle people. Society is built on 1,000 little unspoken rules. Say this, do that, pretend when necessary. But the Sigma female didn't sign that invisible contract. She's not rebellious for the sake of rebellion, she's simply selective. If something feels hollow, forced, or performative, she'd rather sit it out. She doesn't care about being polite if it means being fake. She doesn't play along with traditions she doesn't believe in. And while some may call her distant, the truth is, she's just real. She'd rather disappoint expectations than betray her own values. This makes others uncomfortable, because her refusal to engage exposes how many people are living by default, not by design. But she doesn't adjust herself to fit a mold. She doesn't dilute her energy to be digestible. She shows up where she belongs, and only where it feels right. To the Sigma female, life is not a performance. It's a series of intentional choices, and she refuses to play a part in rituals that mean nothing to her. 7. They intimidate the insecure. There's something about a woman who doesn't seek approval that shakes people to their core. A Sigma female walks with a confidence that's not loud, but unshakable. She doesn't boast, she doesn't beg, and she doesn't bend. And for those whose self-worth relies on outside validation, that kind of presence can feel like a threat. Insecure people often depend on power dynamics to feel significant. They expect others to flatter them, to submit, or to tiptoe around their egos. But a Sigma female doesn't play that game. She sees through the bluster. She's unimpressed by titles, status, or empty dominance. And when someone tries to impress her with bravado instead of substance, she meets them with silence. And that silence speaks volumes. She's not trying to compete. She's just rooted in who she is. And that quiet self-assurance exposes those who are faking it. She becomes a mirror, one that reflects the difference between real confidence and performance. That's why she's often labeled as cold or intimidating, not because she's harsh, but because she doesn't coddle insecurity. She won't stroke egos. She won't play smaller to make others feel bigger. And she certainly won't apologize for being intelligent, direct, or emotionally sovereign. To secure people, her presence is refreshing. To insecure ones, it's unsettling. The Sigma female doesn't need to tear others down. She just refuses to shrink. And that alone is enough to reveal who's truly grounded and who's just pretending. 8. They don't need to be fixed or saved. The Sigma female is not a project. She's not waiting for someone to swoop in and give her life meaning. She's done the inner work, faced her shadows, and learned to stand tall on her own. She may not be perfect, but she's complete. This throws off those who are used to being the rescuer in relationships. They want someone to mold, to guide, to save. But a Sigma female doesn't need saving. She needs respect. She welcomes growth, yes. She evolves constantly. But on her terms, not someone else's. She'll listen to feedback when it's wise, but she draws a hard line when someone tries to reshape her into a more acceptable version. She doesn't bend for comfort. She doesn't edit herself to make others feel secure. If anything, she's the one who challenges others to rise higher, not because she demands it, but because her presence alone sets a new standard. People who base their worth on being needed often misread her independence as rejection. But she's not pushing people away. She's protecting her peace. She refuses to be defined by anyone else's expectations. She's not afraid of being alone. In fact, solitude fuels her. So if someone enters her life, it has to add something, not fill a void. That's the Sigma code. She doesn't want to be saved. She wants to be met. 9. They are attracted to power, but not the kind you think. Flashy cars, big titles, loud influence. That's the kind of power most people chase, and the kind that Sigma females look right through. To her, real power isn't about what you own. It's about who you are when all the glitter is stripped away. She doesn't fall for appearances. She listens for integrity. A Sigma female is drawn to power, yes, but not the kind society glorifies. Wealth, fame, and influence don't impress her unless they're backed by wisdom, purpose, and self-control. She values a different currency: mental clarity, emotional discipline, and spiritual self-possession. If someone walks into a room and doesn't need to announce their status to command respect, that's the kind of power she pays attention to. She's turned off by arrogance, performative dominance, or people who use their position to manipulate or impress. What she respects is quiet strength, the person who leads without shouting, who chooses purpose over popularity, and who acts with intention, not ego. Because she's so grounded in her own identity, shallow charm doesn't work on her. She's not interested in being dazzled. She's interested in being challenged. Can someone meet her intellectually? Can they hold a real conversation that goes beneath the surface? Can they sit with her in silence and still feel connected? Those are the traits she gravitates toward. Not dominance, not money, but inner power, earned, not inherited. That's why people often misread her disinterest in flashy displays as arrogance. But she's not dismissive. She's discerning. She's not cold. She's just immune to illusion. And if someone's confidence crumbles the moment their status is questioned, They never had real power to begin with. She knows this, and she refuses to settle for anything that lacks depth. The truth? A Sigma female is power. She embodies it in the way she carries herself, the silence she commands, and the boundaries she sets. That's why it takes a rare kind of person to catch her attention, and an even rarer one to keep it. 10. They won't tolerate repetitive drama. To the Sigma female, peace is sacred. Drama? That's noise. And she's not interested in playing emotional ping pong just to keep someone entertained. She sees through chaos the way an experienced sailor sees through storms. It's all wind, waves, and wasted energy. Some people live for drama. They create it, fuel it, and spread it because it gives them a sense of control, attention, or significance. But the Sigma female sees it for what it really is, a distraction from deeper issues that people are avoiding. She doesn't engage in gossip. She doesn't fight over nonsense. She doesn't get sucked into cycles of betrayal, apology, and repeat. The moment she spots a pattern of emotional immaturity, she's already detaching, mentally first, then physically. She doesn't argue. She exits. And here's what throws people off. She does it quietly. No grand goodbye, no shouting match, no drama to match the drama. She simply stops feeding the fire, and without fuel, it dies. This doesn't mean she avoids conflict. If something matters, she'll face it head-on, with logic, clarity, and respect. But petty squabbles, passive-aggressive behavior, attention-seeking meltdowns, not worth her time. That's why emotional vampires don't last around her. They can't feed off someone who doesn't give them a reaction, and they can't manipulate someone who sees the game before it's even played. People often wonder why the Sigma female disappears without warning. The answer is simple. She gave you her time, her energy, her patience, and you used it to stir chaos. Now she's gone, and once she walks, she doesn't look back. She doesn't do recycled problems. She doesn't give third and fourth chances to the same pattern in a different outfit. She values peace more than attachment, and clarity more than comfort. If keeping someone in her life means inviting constant stress, she'll pass. She's not heartless, she's healthy. And that's why drama doesn't stand a chance around her. 11. They absorb information like a spy. People talk, people reveal. Most of the world is too busy speaking to notice what's being said between the lines, but not the Sigma female. She listens differently. She watches like a strategist. She absorbs everything, not just the words, but the pauses, the tone, the micro-expressions. To the average person, it looks like intuition. In reality, it's unmatched perception. She doesn't need to pry or ask too many questions. People reveal themselves, and she catches it all. The change in voice pitch, the hesitation before a lie, the fake laugh, the I'm fine that clearly isn't. She picks up on it, stores it, and waits. Not because she's manipulative, but because she's aware. This is why you can't lie to her. She may not call it out right away, but trust, she noticed. She's making connections in the background, stacking mental data like a chess player planning 5 moves ahead. And once the picture becomes clear, she acts. People find themselves exposed around her without knowing why. Their usual tricks don't work. Flattery falls flat. Deception unravels. Emotional games backfire. She doesn't need confrontation to assert power. Her awareness alone is disarming. What makes her dangerous in the best way is that she doesn't flaunt what she knows. She simply knows, and that silent intelligence protects her from being misled, manipulated, or blindsided. And because she sees so much, she's incredibly selective about who she lets in. Trust is earned, not given freely. She may appear calm, even indifferent, but behind the calm is a mind that's 10 steps ahead, quietly scanning for consistency. You can't fool someone who pays attention when others don't. And that's why Sigma females are respected, even feared. Not because they're aggressive, but because they're aware. In a world full of noise, they're the ones truly listening. And in a world full of illusion, they're the ones who see clearly. A Sigma female isn't difficult, she's just different. In a world that encourages blending in, she chooses to stand alone. Not out of pride, not out of rebellion, but out of alignment with something deeper, her truth. She doesn't follow the script society writes for women. She doesn't ask for permission to be who she is. And she certainly doesn't compromise her voice to make others feel comfortable. That's why she often feels like a mismatch, because most people aren't used to someone so unwilling to trade her authenticity for acceptance. But here's the truth. Being misunderstood is not a weakness. It's a sign that you've chosen a path few are brave enough to walk. It's a sign that you've outgrown shallow circles and surface-level expectations. And most of all, it's proof that your strength is rooted in self-awareness, not in needing approval. A Sigma female doesn't seek to dominate or control. She doesn't need the spotlight. She doesn't need constant attention. What she needs is space to grow, freedom to evolve, and truth to stand on. And while this path may feel lonely at times, it's never empty. Because the further she walks in her authenticity, the more she attracts others who are walking the same road. Quiet leaders, deep thinkers, and unshakable souls who see the world through the same lens. So if you're a Sigma female, or becoming one, don't apologize for being too bold, too quiet, too honest, too intense, or too real. You're not too much. You're just rare. And rare things? They don't fit everywhere, but they shine where they belong. Welcome to the Sigma Sisterhood, where you don't have to shrink to fit in. You just have to show up as you are. Subscribe now and join the women redefining what it means to be powerful, purposeful, and unapologetically free.